I'm not trying to go all old school here, but I need to get out to 2 inches. I got a long way to go. Can't find my calipers, so I'm just going to go until, excuse me, I can't find my verniers. So I'm going to go until the calipers, which I've got set for 2 inches and a 1/16, just fit inside that. A pretty hefty cut here, 40 thousandths on the diameter each time. 1/4 inch more to go. One more heavy cut and then a couple of finer ones. That might do it. Almost there. If I angle it, it'll go in. So we'll come down to a 10 thousandths cut. We'll do a spring pass. Nice amount of deflection on that little boring bar when the spring pass cuts that much. I'm getting just a touch of drag. Yeah, 2 inches and a 1/16. Be curious to see how close we are to that once I find my calipers. We'll leave it there for now. Had the remnants of Hurricane Nicole come through here today. 2-3 inches of rain, but despite everything being wet from the wind blowing in, the machines that I've had with the artificial heat source, the joiner, Cincinnati tool and cutter grinder, and the K&T in its little weatherproof hut have no traces of moisture on them. So that system really works well at the expense of a lot of electricity, a lot of dollars. Tomorrow's the big day. Xfinity guys coming to hopefully run a cable, and we'll come into the building. Actually, right behind that column is where phone connection came in. So let's see if you can come in there. Very temporarily got a piece of OSB clamped up here as a shelf to hold the power supply, the 500 volt amp power supply for the peripherals, and I have the cable modem hooked in there. 2 pieces of unistrut going to go from the upper girt to the lower girt, but I got to wait until I get the 12U cabinet before I put that on. So we'll just get everything hooked up to this, and I will install that. I think it's coming Monday, so that's the plan. Man, I don't want to jinx it, but Xfinity is here. They're going to lay the line, and it looks like they're going to just put it basically on the ground, poke into my building, give me about 10 feet up into where my infrastructure box is going to be. And then he said 2 weeks or so, another crew comes back to bury the line. So he's just going to lay it on the ground. To me, that means he'll be pretty quick, and we'll have 800 megabit internet. Let me spin you around. I got a laptop all hooked up, ready to go, configured to see that router with the wireless signal aptly named Metal Shop. And we'll be able to test speeds and do any final whatever login stuff that we have to do with that Comcast modem that I got from my son-in-law. So getting close. I'm excited. That's the most progress I've seen in 2.5, 3 months. A guy putting a ladder up on the pole. So the Comcast line is actually the lowest line on this service pole. and that pole is on our property. So all he has to do is tap into that, drop down to the ground, and then he's just going to lay it on the ground up to the building, and another crew comes back within 2 weeks to bury the line. So progress, progress. The orange wire is the internet. That orange wire, not that orange wire. So I've got enough pulled in that I can reach up into that panel right there. I will come back and probably put conduit up inside that rib all the way up past that first girt, and that way no one can mess with the cable and cut it. Hey, welcome back to Engineer's Workshop. So the next step in the internet installation saga, we have internet, wires are kind of loose and dangly. Next step is to put up a 12U infrastructure cabinet so that the modem, router, etc., power supply will go in a lockable cabinet up high on the wall. Going to mount that between the middle two girts, so the bottom of the panel is going to be about 7 feet high. Bring power in probably to the side of that from underneath. And I've also got to make a provision for the fiber. So ended up getting 1-inch conduit for the fiber run, which is going to go up to the ceiling, over and across and down. And you ever have a tool that you didn't want to buy but you had to buy? So I did not have a 1-inch bender, so I bought a 1-inch bender. And bender, 1-inch conduit, miscellaneous fittings, just for that one run was $250. About $170 for the cabinet. I didn't spend the extra $75 to get a swing out type, you know, where the entire cabinet swings out, to make it nice and easy to get it all the connections in the back. It does have removable side panels. For as much as I'm going to be getting in there, I guess I'm not going to complain. So I need to get a piece of unistrut cut 10 foot into two 5-foot sections to go right between those two girts. Try to locate where this power is going to be, and I think that's it. So I'm going to get started on that and maybe time lapse you for some of the more boring parts till we get everything mounted. Then I'll start working on that overhead run for the fiber. Oh, the fiber, yeah. So I settled on a type of fiber. It's an armored, I think it's Comscope, off of eBay. Actually, a buddy of mine found it. Thank you, grumpy old man. And it was basically half the cost per foot of anything that the retailers were selling. So I got a 5,000 foot spool, actually about twice as much as what I needed, but I'm going to double run it. So we're going to have 2 continuous runs from this building to the small building on my other property. That's like 1,800 feet plus the, you know, inside. And that will give, it's 12 strands, so that'll give me 24 strands underground between the 2 buildings. Should be plenty for a couple of dedicated Ethernet, you know, fiber runs that will be Ethernet-based communication. Maybe one for the cameras on one network and one for the, you know, streaming and data on the other network. And I still have enough on that spool to go from the barn on the other property to the house down the road. That set me back $2,400. So this installation's getting pricey, but it is what it is. That's the cost of rural internet when you don't have someone that's willing to, you know, hook you up at your house. But this way I've got this building with a strong internet signal, put security cameras up, hopefully help protect me until I get things enclosed. So let's get moving here. It says online that these instructions are pretty useless, but it does provide this beautiful installation template. So I'm going to use this to position the unistruts, and it looks like the back panel is deep enough to bring conduit in. Unfortunately, it doesn't have like a top panel that protrudes here. If you see, there's only this little lip. So I've got a solution for bringing conduit in to the top without bringing it into that removable top cover. I'll show you that when we come to that point. So first step is positioning the back panel, and I want to see where this bend will come in, and we'll use that for the side-to-side positioning. There is no good way to stand over here. I'm going to end up, I think, standing on the girt itself, which I'm not crazy about. Always carry a backup drill bit when your primary one is dull. The mounting holes on this are on 16-inch centers. That's one way to do it. Look at that. Gotta love it. I can pretty much guarantee nobody's going to mess with that, or I'm going to find them in here dead after trying. These are even tamper-resistant screws. Little Torx head with the little bump in the middle. Been tasked with moving the Jeep. We've got a party coming up, and we need the parking area, so it obviously won't roll on four wheels. Got to get it up on just the two back wheels, and to do that I've got a pipe jammed in here at the rear spring location. I'm going to get my chains up and lift up on the axle by just pulling up to the front bumper, and then I can lift the front bumper and take it over to the metal building with the tractor with the boom pole And from that point, you know, at least it'll be inside then for my son to work on it. So let's get cracking on this. This is how I got it set up. Boom pole does the lifting. Now we're going to add a strap from the bumper to the back of the tractor, and that'll do the pulling. All right, there we go.
And then it's time to make that morning drive. Work all day till I'm totally beat. Get back home and fall right to sleep. Alarm goes off in the morning and the cycle's complete. Work, sleep, repeat. Yesterday I was 17, running bootlegs and draws and screens. Now I'm running up debt and I'm scrambling to make ends meet. So work, sleep, repeat. Yeah, work, sleep, that's all I ever do anymore. Work, sleep. Somewhere up the line I forgot what I was working for. Roll out in bed, rub the sleep from my eyes. Throw on a shirt and some jeans and my boots, and then it's time to make that morning drive. Yeah, work, sleep, that's all I ever do anymore. Somewhere up the line I forgot what I was working for. Sleep, repeat. All I ever do is work, sleep, repeat. All I ever do is work, sleep, repeat.
Well, I wanted to start working on my 1-inch conduit for the fiber, which was going to go up along the underside of the purlins and down this wall. But unfortunately, I'm remembering that my little giant ladder is not long enough to reach and lean. I have to get it to lean against the purlins themselves. I'm going to be putting screw, like 1-hole clamps into the underside of the purlins. And I thought it reached it, but it doesn't. Certainly it doesn't in the middle, which means I'm gonna have to go get my big extension ladder. And I can't remember if my extension ladder is 36 foot or a 40 footer. Either way, that might be too long. So my alternative, man, I don't know. I'm a good foot short of reaching those. I was hoping to maybe just get away with putting the legs of this on 2 cinder blocks, but I might need to stack 2 vertically, or not 2 vertically, but 2 on top of each other in order to do that. I got to get that pipe in there somehow, the conduit. So instead, I think what I'll do is I'll bring the light over here and I will see if I can finish up this new insert for the lathe. Still got my steel chucked up in here. I've got my bore out to 2 1/16. So not too much more to go. So we're back on the adapter piece so that we can make this back plate work both on the 3-jaw chuck, which pilots here, and the little 4-jaw buck chuck, which pilots on my new bore, which I cleaned up to 2.414. So I've got the inside calipers set for that dimension, and the reason I did that was I just want to real quickly set the outside calipers for about 100 thousandths bigger than that, and that way I can just continue cutting my step on the OD of that piece until I'm getting close. So we'll open this up. 100 thousandths, that'll give us a safety margin. Drop this over the OD and keep checking that rather than stopping the lathe every time. And I want to machine about 1/4 inch deep. So I'm setting my depth stop. And we'll just start hogging away. Maybe we'll play with some speeds and see what we can do moving material quickly. And we are way oversized. Let's go up on the RPM. These are 10 thousandths deep cuts, or 20 thousandths deep, 10 thousandths OD. Excuse me, 10 thousandths deep, 20 thousandths on the OD. Yes, now I got it right. Long way to go. As a double check, this should not go in, and it will not. 2.520. So my VFD's acting weird. It's not turning off. It's gone down to 12 hertz. That is strange. 2-inch 480. Tell you what, let us put, I'm going to put a little lead in on here now, and then we'll just keep working the diameter down. I'm going to back off my tailstock. on about a 15-degree lead in, which I'm eyeballing. I wonder how long my phone's been laying over on its side like that. About 440. 2.440. Let's see for grins if my lead-in was small enough to get this thing started. I don't think it is. Any of you out there with the little Chinese VFDs that this has happened? And they don't fully shut off. They just go down to some random 12 hertz. I think we'll leave that 3 thousandths big for now and let this come down to room temperature and then check it again and see what we've got. I'm back to having basically a razor sharp edge. That's essentially back down to room temperature. Let's see if the dimension changed at all. I think people get a little overly cautious about temperature changes unless you're working in tenths and you're doing grinding operations. Still at 417, so 2 thousandths has got to come off, or 3 thousandths to be on size. Did we remove anything? I saw dust coming off. So I'm just going to take a real light cut across this face to clean that up. And then I reset the calipers for the OD. We got to take the OD back, and that's 3-inch 200 thousandths. So that'll get us close to the finished OD to press into the back of the buck chuck. So let's stop there. Still another 100,000, 200 thousandths to go, really. I'm making plenty of nice blue chips here, or string, from the lathe. Hope you enjoyed the little bit of progress I made on the bushing, and I got to focus on the internet. Got a big spool of cable coming. Got to have the conduit ready, and we got to start clearing the path between this building and the farm so that we can get this internet service over to that property over there. So I got to do a little bit of this and that as I can, and just bring you along for the journey. So thanks again for watching and subscribing. Help grow the channel, and as always, as we say here on Engineers Workshops, stay safe.